What's up, everybody? I hope everyone out there is having a great day today. Before we jump into today's video, you guys always comment on my retro NWO hat. I got a new one. John Cena. You can't see me. And I actually have another one coming. It should be here today. I love these hats. Anyway, here we go. Chapter 2, called The Disappearance. He starts out by saying, in 2005, he was the DA in that area for 13 years already. He then talks about how on November 3rd, 2005, Mark Weirgert went to see Ken Kratz, talked about how Teresa Halbach had been missing since Halloween. And then Mark says to Ken, guess where Teresa Halbach was last seen? Stephen Avery's salvage yard. Ken Kratz responds with, the Stephen Avery? Yep, says Mark Weirgert, and then leaned back with a quote-unquote, this is straight from the book, how do you like them apples expression. On November 3rd, 2005, they already wanted Stephen Avery for this. Otherwise, the how do you like them apples expression, quote, sentence wouldn't have existed, because he's like, this is him. We got him. Stephen Avery is suing the town for $36 million. He already made us look bad because he spent 18 years in prison and then proved that he didn't do the crime that he was in there for. So let's do what we can to make sure that Stephen Avery is found guilty of this. This is how we get him. This woman was last seen on his property, so he obviously did it. I just finished chapter 2. I'm on page 19 of this book. And for Ken Kratz to state that this book is going to prove Stephen Avery's guilt beyond a shadow of a doubt, the truth is going to come out. Like I said, I'm on page 19, and I've already feel like he's doing more damage to his own case and proving even more of the things they did to Stephen Avery. The guy that wrote this book with Ken Kratz, Peter Wilkinson, definitely didn't do the best job so far in twisting the evidence in a way that helps prove Ken Kratz's theory. Ken Kratz actually served with Penny Bernstein, the lady that was sexually assaulted and Stephen Avery was sent to prison for in 1985, and it was later found out that Gregory Allen actually committed this crime. But Ken Kratz served with her on the Wisconsin Crime Victims' Rights Board, a 5-person panel appointed to review the alleged violations of victims' rights by judges, district attorneys, cops, and other criminal professionals. The only sanctioning body of its kind in the country at that time. So, let's get this straight. Ken Kratz served on a board that theoretically would have investigated himself for what he did when he was sending those text messages, when he was the sitting district attorney, when he was involved in sending text messages that the victim said were sexually harassing. She was a victim of domestic assault, and he was handling her case. So theoretically, stay with me, Ken Kratz served on a board that would later be used to investigate himself. I don't know if this board was still around when Ken Kratz did these things, but back then, if he did these things, but he sat on a board that would have investigated himself. Like I said, this book so far is not helping Ken Kratz's case at all. Ken Kratz then says, I suspected foul play, and the person responsible, we thought, must be an outsider. Some big city transient, some junkie or tweaker or pillhead from Chicago or Milwaukee, just passing through. Not one of our own. However, like a page or so before this, on November 3rd, 2005, Mark Weirgert was already in your office saying, this is from your book, stating that she was last seen on Stephen Avery's salvage yard, and how do you like them apples? So, you did not think it was some transient, some junkie or tweaker or palehead from Milwaukee or Chicago just passing through, or not one of your own. You absolutely already thought it was one of your own. Ken Kratz goes on to say that in Making a Murderer, it was made to appear that Pamela Strum was sent to the Avery property by the coordinating search team. She was the one that found the RAV4 and found it in record time. And that only Pam was given a digital camera. He states, in fact, Pam asked to borrow the camera and asked specifically to search the Avery property. 40 acres, 3,800 cars, and the RAV4 was found almost right away. Okay, let's break this down. He says that Making a Murderer made it seem that she was given the digital camera and was told to go search the Avery salvage yard. He says that that's not true, that she asked to borrow the camera and asked specifically to search the Avery salvage yard. How is that different? How is that better for Ken Kratz? He's stating, instead of being told, here's the camera, go search the lot, that she specifically asked, can I have this camera? Can I go search the lot? And to me, that's saying that she already knew, that she wasn't even told, this is where the car is, go look for it. That she already knew that this is where the car was, go look for it. Which is essentially the same thing, but it's making Pamela look worse, in my opinion, because it's stating either way, she knew that where the RAV4 was, and that she asked for a camera to go take the picture of the RAV4 because she knew where the RAV4 was. Yeah, it's possible she found it right away. She said in court, I believe, something along the lines of, God led her the way, which, if you're religious, that's definitely a thing you're going to believe. And yeah, it's definitely possible to find a needle in a haystack. It's also possible to win the lottery. So it's definitely possible that this did happen. However, the likelihood of this happening, the percentile of this happening, very, very tiny. I'm going with that she knew where it was. She asked for the camera. In either situation, whether she was given the camera or asked for the camera, she knew exactly where this car was. Ken Kratz goes on to say, if Pam, as suggested in Making a Murderer, was complicit in framing Stephen Avery in the disappearance of Teresa Halbach, why would she find the RAV4 so fast and under circumstances that could be interpreted as beyond the realm of poor happenstance? Because you probably did not think there was a documentary film crew there that 10 or so years later was going to air this on the biggest streaming service platform in the world. You guys probably thought that this was going to be swept under the rug. Stephen Avery is going to go back to prison. No big deal. Nobody's going to care. It's going to be completely forgot about in a few weeks, few months, a year or so. But that didn't happen. The Making a Murderer film crew was there, documenting everything. That's why you thought you could get away with all of this, in my opinion, allegedly. Ken Kratz then goes on to state, together, representatives of the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department and the District Attorney's Office agreed that because of Avery's pending lawsuit, the $36 million civil suit he was bringing against the town for his 18 years he spent in prison for being wrongfully convicted, that they figured it would be in everyone's best interest that Manitowoc County's Sheriff's Office would play only a supporting role in the Teresa Halbach investigation. We all know how that turned out, didn't we? That did not stay a supporting role. They found almost everything. Ken Kratz goes on to talk about Thomas Fassbender. He says that he shared many investigation rooms with his share of serial killers, often having them talk themselves into their very own orange prison wardrobe. He also trained a fair share of the law enforcement recruits and evidence techs in the state. So he is a professional in getting people to talk themselves into going to prison. That is what Ken Kratz states. So what he did with Brendan Dassey, he was clearly knew what he was doing. He got Brendan Dassey to talk himself into his orange prison jumpsuit. Ken Kratz then goes on to state, there was nowhere near enough non-Manitowoc County evidence techs on the scene, so it was decided that James Lennox, Dave Remaker, and Andrew Colburn would have to assist with the search, but they wouldn't be able to do it alone. Either a Calumet County evidence tech or a DCI special agent would need to be with them. So, even though they said a page or so before that they weren't allowed to do any searching, that they were only there in a supporting role, now there's not enough people from everywhere else to help search. These three guys were picked, or they offered their own assistance to help with the search. And is it a coincidence that these guys found a lot of evidence that would later convict Steven Avery? This book is like, this is how we framed Steven Avery. It's crazy. People thought, when I first started reading this book, people were like, no, what are you doing? It's terrible. But so far, at least the 19 pages in that I am, it's doing a tremendous job at showing how they framed Steven Avery. It's crazy. Get the book. Read it for yourself. It's nuts. It's like a confession. This is how we did it. Woo! But that's the end of chapter 2. Chapter 3 coming up soon. Hope everyone's having a great day, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.